Let's do another night on Jani, Jigar, Jani, Man. Jani, Jigar, Jani, Man. Jani, Jigar, Jani, Man. Anyway, I'm not drawn to sing. I'm just connecting to an old song that featured on an album cassette that was sent to me from my pen pal in India. His name was Kahn't. Kahn't. India. Jani, Jigar, Jani, Man. Mucho me shame, whatever the fuck I sang. I used to like the song. I like the album. It was really nice. I used to sing it a lot, even though I didn't know the words to it. I just try to do my best. Indian. Let's take all the cringe. The cringe of Archer needing to say Indian languages. Indian languages. When Archer calls that Indian, she means languages that come from the geographical region known as India and surrounds. So it's not appropriate for me to call that Hindu, because there is a Hindu there for sure, but we've got other languages as well. What word am I supposed to use to describe Indian-esque languages that are around the region of India? And that's what I mean when I say Indian languages without apology. And we have the same problem here. Where even this Indian, we have a problem there because it's Indian. It's like the Indian here is experiencing the problem of differentiation of lots of people end up confusing the Central Asian Indian for the American Indian, and so the American Indian requires the prefix type of state to identify the one from America. So this word Indian is going through the same type of crisis as word like Aboriginal, which is not fucking okay anymore. Had to re-articulate as being indigenous. Indigenous. God, did I spell that okay enough? Indigenous. And now we've got another layer of First Nation, and it's just like a First Nation language. Right, but I was born in 1976, so I'm an Aboriginal kind of a kid. I grew up with culture, language of this land that was around carrying the name of being Aboriginal. I did not register this word as being a way to mean something that was indigenous to a piece of land. I didn't see the word Aboriginal like that. I saw that as a cultural identity. No different to how someone calls something Australian, really. I saw it as the same word as Australian, but Aboriginal was the way to describe the populous culture that existed before the boat people arrived. And I'm conscious of, I know how that's problematic because the same thing is happening with the fucking Turkish as well. What's that? The fucking Turk is the root, although it is appropriate to label my language as Turkish because it is of Turk. We have the problem of this word being identified as, that's the language that's spoken in that geographical region called Turkey. So we got that problem as well. I guess this is just an attempt for me to highlight momentarily with some form of pre-apology in the event that I just got careless and offended me by the way she announced her language. It's not Indian language. We speak blah 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 over here. We speak blah 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 over here. I'm sorry for not being able to identify the specific name of your blah 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 specifically. I'm sorry I couldn't accurately nail it and dignify it with the proper name because I either didn't know about it or was trying to communicate a tertiary concept that required me to do as I've tried to explain it here. Can't avoid pissing people off because they need to make abrupt judgments for whatever reason. They will be valid and it's their choice, and I'm not interested in getting in the way of that. This is my just trying to say that there is a problem that I acknowledge, where how is it that we have these words to identify a language or a culture that has its own lingo, and yet their names carry these forms of issue because of perceived inaccuracies perhaps, or I'm not quite sure which way that's going, because I feel the same issue with Turkish. My Turkish is not from Turkey. Just because my parents were born within the borders of that geography physically, my grandparents were further out, migrated from further out. They weren't born in Turkey. My parents are not where my grandparents came from. I am not where my parents were born. I'm not from the same place. I'm not from of the same place. I didn't grow up from of the same environment. Although my voice carries mum and dad, I was raised on this land, integrated with the people of here. And my voice is the product, the outcome that can't be changed, because it is like porcelain. After a certain age, the vocal cords are permanently shaped. You can't quite start over. The tongue can't quite perform gymnastics too easy without considerable challenge, sometimes pain. My tongue, the way it moves in my mouth, is carrying their history, and that's how it maps into this work through the Turkic stream. The tongue has been hardwired to flow in certain patterns, certain direction. When there is a breach to that pattern, the body has a strong reaction that says you can't pass, either because it's physically impossible or the body detects we have a breach in the passage. The flow is not smooth. We've just had a jolt. We've just had a... I finished the subject. We'll revisit it later if I have to.
Devşir'de var, okuyun mu? Yeter! Adım Ayşe! 77!